and then retighten up that spring. And once I retighten up that spring, see, there's another self-closing hinge down there. These two are not self-closing hinges, are they? So once I reinstall that, get this door fixed, put everything back together, I can take that hinge and I can tighten up the spring and take that little pin out and then put it in the next little hole in there after I move it over. See, I have to take, there's little holes all in there, so I have to take my little 8-penny or 6-penny finish nail, cut it off, bend it out, take the pin out, and then tighten it, you know, as far further over so I can take that pin and put it in the next hole. I can't put it in the next hole yet until I tighten that over, right? Then once I put that pin in, it's going to make it tighter. Then I can do the same thing down here, and hopefully that'll give this enough oomph to close the door. Because by code, you're supposed to have this door being able to close. Because this should be a 1-hour rated door, 20-minute rated door. And usually you'll see a label somewhere on this door, and I'm not seeing it. Usually you see it on the edge of this door, or it'll be on top of the door. There's probably a plate that's nailed on the top of the door, and it will say a 20-minute rated door. Okay. And then that means the door should close all the way. Then it's tightly sealed, because the idea is if you have a fire, let's say in the garage, let's say, or whatever, it'll take X amount of minutes, 1 hour. Let's say if this is a 20-minute rated door, it'll take an hour or 20 minutes, whatever, to get through the garage, this door, before it gets into the house. So hopefully you have enough time to go out of another door, window, whatever. Okay, so that's why they want this door to close, and they want it to seal. This already has sealer in there, weather stripping. It's weather stripped. It's got a threshold there. It's got a door shoe on here that's been adjusted properly for this door to hit. Okay, but it's not closing all the way. So once I tighten those up, hopefully I can get them tight enough to make this door close. If not, maybe I have to replace those two doors, those two self-closing hinges with new ones that has the Allen wrench, a hole at the top where I can tighten it up more. Maybe leaving those two, maybe I can take this one hinge, see what size hinge it is, get another self-closing hinge, and put a third closing hinge on. Leave the top one and the bottom one, put a third one on right there, tighten that one up. Maybe that gives it just enough oomph, because this is a solid core door and it's an 8-foot tall door. So there's different ways to fix that, but what I do know is that I'm going to have to fix that door a little bit, and because I checked that other door, let's see this one. See, you hear it? Straight up again, and I think this latch is going to have to go over further, and we're going to check that out. But it sure seems to me it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go right to here like it's in the locked position, straight up and down. See? That means I should not be able to take my finger and push this latch in. Look at that, I can. That means all of these years, this deadbolt has never worked, even with it being locked. Okay, this door was only solid, secured by this one thumb turn at the bottom. And usually when you got a thumb turn like that, you want to look at your latch right here, and hopefully on a lock, when you have a keyed lock like that, generally on your latch, you want this little pin that pushes back, okay? Because if you don't have that, this will go back, will push back every time this is locked. Now let's say when this is locked, and you have this pin pushed back, let's say to there, you shouldn't be able to push that in with your thumb, see? And I can't, it's locked. That way somebody can't pick this door, they can't take a credit card outside and push this latch in, or a knife or anything. Because what is supposed to happen is this little edge right there is supposed to sit on top of this strike plate, okay? It's supposed to fit right here, from here to there, right on this edge. It's not supposed to fit inside here. It's supposed to fit on the edge. And lots of times when some people, if they don't understand that and they close this too hard, or let's say there's a little bit of slop in here because they don't have this thing adjusted properly, and this one's got that little edge thing in there which you could adjust that. If there was too much slop there, you could push this hard enough, especially with a weather stripped door that has a give, let's say, you know, like this one. When you push this in, you should only push it in so the latch part, this part of the latch, this big latch, this is the only part of the big latch that's supposed to fit into the strike plate. Okay? Does that make sense? When that fits in there, this gets slid on the outside of the strike plate, and that allows the rest of this to fit inside the strike plate. Then this door is locked. When you have it in the locked position, you won't be able to push in. See, as I push this in, you can only push this in so far. But if this gets pushed all the way in, into the strike plate, then with this locked, like it is right now, and if this is in the strike, watch what happens. You can push it right in, can't you? That's not how that's designed. This has to fit on the outside of that strike plate. Okay? Well, there's your 101 door locking from VideoJoe. And you don't want to have that locked. You can tell when that fits in there. You can tell right when it fits. But if you push harder, you might be able to get the whole thing in there. And that's what you don't want to do. And if you have to push it in any further, then you know the strike plate might have to be adjusted, might have to be pushed over this way, closer. Or this side of the adjustable strike plate has to be lifted over further to not allow that pin to go in. Okay, so there's different ways to adjust that. We're not really talking about that right now, but that's just giving you an idea of how this door works. Okay, so I've already made some sort of assumptions, and now I'm going downstairs. I'm going to look at those doors because I know there's some doors down there that have to be done. I already kind of checked that out, and I wanted to let you know what I found, the different things that I have to do. I have to get fixed before the painters come here. And my word, what time is it? I'm going to check my watch. It's already 4 o'clock. I was going to do some work today, but the one thing is, this is work. I had to make this video before I start doing this work. If you watched my other video, you would have seen me explaining about this door. The door is hitting. The door is closing. The gap is fine there, but it's hitting the top of the header over here. So I'm going to have to rasp off the top of the door, which means taking the door down, rasping that off, and doing the adjustments, because everything else on this door is fine. The gaps are fine. In fact, down here at the bottom, I see that it's almost tight. So what I could do on that one is, I see the gap here, and see this hinge. Look at that. There's a gap between the hinge back and the jamb. See, in this one here, it's tight. Look at this one on the bottom. You see that? The gap on the far right between the hinge and the door jamb. That gap in there you're not supposed to see. So if anything, I can push that over, and I may have to do some stuff when I do that. That could drop the top of the door down ever so little. I might be able to fix that before I start rasping that off. I'm glad I'm looking at this again. Usually you don't have this problem. This is the very opposite of what generally most doors are sagging. This one is actually up too high. Or yeah, the whole thing, I mean, it's slightly different than what I'm used to. Usually the door is sagging. And usually when I do a fix, the door is being pushed back up towards the hinges, pushed up. This time I have to lower it down, right? And I can do that by pushing that over. I may have to push that hinge, these two bottom hinges over, and suck it over a little bit. And it looks like I got enough gap to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna work on that first, and then it may barely clear up at the top at that point. If not, maybe I have to rasp a little bit, but not as much as I thought initially. So I'm kind of glad I'm checking out this door again. I can see I've got some work on that door. And I've looked at all these exterior doors that swing in, and I've looked at the gaps and stuff, and I may take another look at those, but they all seem to be working fine with the certain latch and locking mechanism that they have. And this one here looks good, and other than this, see how this is loose? But the gap is fine everywhere. I can't really see the very top edge because the top of the door needs to be pushed in, and the reason why is because I forgot to put the latch, the strike plate on there. Or they had the strike plate on, for some reason they took it off, and I don't know if there is another one here, so note to self, I'm gonna need to get another latch. I may have to take the strike plate. I may have to take one of these existing strike plates off, take it to the store so I can get the same kind. And I remembered up on the ground floor that one of the strike plates had this little nib was broken off because they probably bent it back and forth a little bit until it snapped off. In any case, I need to get another one of these for the ground floor, and I need one for here downstairs. Okay, so I need at least 2 strike plates, so that's good. I've checked this door here. This is kind of a nice door. This is a metal door with a welded frame. This is all nice and solid, 4.5-inch hinges, ball bearing hinges. This was like a lockout or something. And this whole area is all concrete ceiling and everything. And we're going to end up being able to lock this and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looked at that, and that all let's see, it all looked pretty good. See the gap here? Usually on metal doors, sometimes the gap is bigger. I'm not really going to worry about it. The door is closing fine, it's locking fine. If anything, you see this here? The gap is smaller there, which this gap on this side should be the same. I think it's just the door jamb. This edge should have been moved down. Well, they didn't. They couldn't move it down because it was hitting. So what they should have done was they should have taken this side. They should have lifted this whole side up before they attached it. Before they attached the weld-on frame. Then that would have allowed this to be right if they could have lifted that side up. Does that make sense? This can't be lowered down now. It's not that the door is sagging. It's just that when they installed it, this edge of the door jamb should have been lifted up higher. You can't do anything about it now because the way this knockdown frame was installed is there's some clips on the back side, and you install it to the back side first. Okay, back